Ready to commence low-level autopilot tests. Descending to 250 feet on autopilot.
Bradley Heath to Victor 24, roger.
Autopilot monitoring equipment on. System checks completed. Roger. Passing through 1,000 feet now. Descending on track. Altimeter QNH set. Autopilot set 250 feet. Radar scanner on. Speed 750 knots. Engine temperatures and pressures okay. Crossing coastline now. Roger. Autopilot's within limits. Heading 030. On track. High ground coming up in 45 seconds. Roger. Here we go. I'm starting the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. She's not lifting.
Hobbs? What happened?
Nothing serious, thank God. Not enough for an afternoon, though.
I should damn well think so. You nearly buried the aircraft in the Lisdale Hills. What happened?
I'd say the low-level radar nearly buried me in the hillside, Mr. Corbett. Of course, it depends on your point of view, doesn't it?
You're blaming the equipment?
I'm not blaming anything. I'm telling you. The low-level radar failed to function. We only just got up on manual.
What was your speed?
750 knots, 250 feet. It'll be in my report.
Didn't you get any warning?
No, we didn't. It's a system fault.
You sure you went through the correct procedure?
What do you think?
All right, Forbes. I wasn't being personal.
Weren't you?
What about Dunnett?
He's the best flight test observer we've got.
I just want to make sure that neither of you slipped up before I start bashing the radar people.
Don't worry. We didn't slip up. And there were no red lights flashing, if that's what you mean. It's a system fault, all right.
There's one thing that puzzles me, though.
What?
The Ministry are doing identical tests at Boscombe Down, and they seem to have had no trouble. Well, that's the situation we are in, Lockett. So as soon as you have finished checking the installation of that radar, you better get over to my office. Miss Evans?
Yes, Mr. Corbett?
Keep the line to Boscombe Down clear until they come through.
Very good.
And after that, get me Nightingale at the Ministry.
Right. Mr. Henderson's coming through.
Right, send him in.
Forbes nearly bought it,
Yes, he's blaming the radar.
Well, what else could it be?
Well, for one thing, it could be Forbes.
All right, David. We know you've got it in for him.
I never wanted him near the Beetle in the first place. Bradley's much more reliable.
He's logged 3,500 hours test flying.
Yes, he may have been good once. Anyway, that's my problem. I suppose you've come with a message from our friend, Mr. Wilder.
Yes. John's been on from Paris. He wants those weapon compatibility details.
A bit of flannel from the NATO top brass, eh? Where was he phoning from? Backstage at the Folie Bergère?
More likely, the office of the President of the Republic, if I know John.
Very moving. Remind me to call him sir.
He can't stand crawlers.
Boscombe Down on the line, Mr. Corbett.
Corbett speaking. I see. Thank you. Yes, we hit the same trouble. Well, look, let me have your report as soon as you can, will you? Thank you. Well, don't forget to fill in our man in Paris about our bit of excitement this morning, will you?
If that's what you want.
I'm surprised you haven't told him already.
Well, it'll get the ministry boys twitching.
Anything that brings them to life.
Mr. Lockett from Radar Installation is here.
Show him in on your way out, will you?
Very good, sir.
Well?
Well, there's nothing wrong with the installation, sir.
You're quite sure? The point is this. I don't want to go and blow my top at the ministry and then have them joyfully telling me that it was an installation fault all along.
I quite understand, sir, but there's no chance of that happening.
Yes, I've been told that before.
Not from me, happened, Mr. Corbett.
Now, their test pilot says it's the radar, so does Boscombe Down. You better refresh my memory on this. The set's being licensed built up north, isn't it?
By Brownings.
From the American field Connor design. Yes, rings a bell somewhere.
Yes, you'll remember we were under pressure at the time to accept it.
From where you knew not.
Well, didn't it come from upstairs?
That's not where it began. Nightingale here. Oh, yes, send him up, will you? Thank you. Well, what do you suggest?
One thing's certain, we're committed to this equipment.
You realize we can't afford any more delays on the VTOL, and this must not hold up its development. The RAF will be hopping mad if it's late into service, and life in these corridors will be one long agony. Come in. Ah, Corby.
Morning.
Good morning. You know Hunt, of course.
Yes, how?
Yes.
Now, the real question that arises is, should we start searching for an alternative?
Well, I should say that the answer to that is yes, immediately.
I don't agree. I think you may waste more time that way than getting the present set put right.
I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I've always been unhappy about this equipment, and I've a strong feeling it'll never do its job.
It has done for the Americans.
Not this version. This is built by Brown.
The design is exactly the same.
What are the alternatives?
We hadn't reached that point.
Well, to my knowledge, there's one being developed by the Jordan Group, the ARC-41.
It's too big, and in any case, it's only designed for speeds up to 450.
Well, what about the one under development at Cooper White's?
That's been abandoned. I've given my advice. If it's not acceptable,
It's not a question of that, Hunt. In a crisis such as this, we must explore every possibility.
which we have done.
Not quite.
Well, unless you've a further suggestion.
Why not go direct to Field Connor in the States?
And what's the advantage in that?
Well, I should have thought that was pretty obvious. It's their own design.
Oh, I'm sorry, Corbett. Any decision to go outside British industry for equipment will have to be made at a full design conference.
Well, can we call one?
Well, not for at least 10 days.
Even then, we won't know if they can supply.
It doesn't take 10 days to ring up and ask them, does it?
It's not as simple as that, now, really.
Sorry to desert you, Laura. There was Corbett on the phone. He wants to see me. Royal command.
I thought your account was with John Wilder.
Yes, it is.
Then Corbett might at least have made it a royal request.
Oh. As far as I can see, subtleties of that kind are beyond him.
He'll learn, I dare say. Give him time.
Not at my expense.
Mr. Nightingale is on the line.
Put him through. Corbett speaking.
I thought I'd let you know. Hunt's contacted Washington, and Field Connor could supply.
Good, that's fine.
But some of my colleagues are more concerned about the political implications of this.
Yes, well, I'm only concerned about the flying implications, about keeping my test program on schedule.
Now, I see your difficulties, Corbett. Now, you must see mine.
There are strong feelings in some quarters about this work going to America.
And meanwhile, to hell with the VTOL. I thought I made it quite clear we can't wait. Least of all for politicians. I don't give a damn where we get the stuff from. China, anywhere.
Let's keep our heads, Corbett. It has occurred to you, I suppose, that by switching from Brownings, we may be causing hardship in a high unemployment area.
Yes, there'll be unemployment here, too, if the VTOL's grounded.
You can depend on me for support. I'm merely advising you that getting the alternative sets isn't as easy as we thought.
Easier than more delays on the VTOL. You know, two can play at this game of putting the pressure on. Anyway, thank you for letting me know. Goodbye.
David?
If I brought you from an important debate, all I can say is this is more important still. Sit down, please.
Thank you.
I don't know if you've heard, but we've been having a spot of trouble with the low-level radar.
Yes, I have. We MPs get to hear most things, you know.
Yes, well, it's just one of those electronic faults. We'll sort it out all right. It's just a damn nuisance coming at this stage, that's all.
Oh, I see.
I just thought if you heard any rumors in the House about more delays on the VTOL, well, we don't want anyone spreading alarm and despondency.
Don't worry, they will.
Another thing that's bothering me is our dealings with the ministry.
Well, I thought you had the minister in your pocket.
It's their set ways of doing things. They're so inelastic.
Yes, but you'll find that with all government departments. It's just a cost you have to bear if you want the contracts.
Yes, I know. I've been dealing with them for 6 years. But at the moment, things are getting so held up, we can't get decisions.
Well, get Wilder to prod the old man at the top, then.
I'd rather do it myself.
Oh, I see.
I thought you might help.
Ooh, an interview with the minister? No, I'm sorry. He wouldn't want to spend time on that sort of thing. He's concerned with policy.
All right. We'll talk policy.
I thought policy was Wilder's province. Can't it wait till he gets back?
No, it can't. And I've no intention of allowing it.
All right, I'll see what I can do. But without prejudice, as they say.
Right. As soon as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Right. I'll be in touch, David.
Yes. Yes?
Mr. James Cameron Grant. Oh, it's all right. I can see him. James? Sir Henry. Can you spare me just a minute? Excuse me. I can spare you 5 any time, Henry. What's on your mind?
It's this Scott Furlong's business. What's all this I hear about him trying to ditch Brownings?
You tell me.
Well, over the radar, I understand that he's going to try and buy new equipment from the States.
From the States? I didn't know they'd gone that far.
They? Why, I thought it was John Wilder shaking his big stick again.
Oh, no. No. You can't blame him this time. He's in Paris.
Well, whoever it is, James, lad, you know full well how many people are going to be thrown out of work in my constituency. Work's difficult enough to get up there as it is, lad. And this Browning's contract is worth $500,000.
Yes. Well, I'll go and see Corbett. See what I can dig up.
I'd be very glad if you would, James. Very glad indeed. Just a quiet word in the right quarter. All right?
Is Mr. Corbett in his office, please?
Yes, he's free for that, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Miss Evans. Well, I think at least you might have been honest with me.
Not another fretful politician.
I'm talking about Brownings and the low-level radar.
Yes, so am I.
You do realize they're in a high unemployment area?
Is it all round the Westminster grapevine already? Anyway, what's that got to do with me?
Well, this cancellation will be taken hard up there.
They should have made the damn set work.
I dare say they could, given a chance.
Let me get this straight. Just where are you? I thought you were paid to look after our interests. Anyway, this is a technical decision, a technical necessity.
But with political implications.
Well, I leave that to you and Wilder.
You think you can afford to?
It remains to be seen, doesn't it? All I know is that I can't build aeroplanes and play politics at the same time.
Everybody else has to.
Yes, well, I don't have the time. You have. Now, what about my meeting with the minister?
I'm sorry, there's nothing doing yet.
Well, why not? What's all this about?
Wilder would understand what it's all about, David. It's a pity you don't. Make light of me if you like, but don't underestimate the politicians, because you're going to have to learn to live with them. This switch to America could really blow up in your face.
Well, not unless someone lights the fuse.
Somebody will, you must know that.
Any friend of yours, by any chance?
I work for Scott Furlong.
Yes, and your party.
Well, I can't do any more. Not at this stage.
You know, James, I really don't think you're trying.
Will you be dictating any letters?
Not until this afternoon.
They're piling up.
Yes, well, let them. Miss Evans, have you the slightest idea why our friend should be so upset about Brownings? They're not even in his constituency.
No, they're in Sir Henry Manning's.
Manning? What's he got to do with it? They're on the opposite sides of the house.
What difference does that make?
The tie-up can't be political. Dig out the directory of directors. I'm sure Manning runs umpteen companies. I wonder how many of them Grant has a public relations account with. You know, when I first came into this business, if you hired someone, you also hired their loyalty.
That was before you came into this business.
Come in.
Mr. Corbett to see you, sir.
Right.
The minister will see you now, Mr. Corbett.
Thanks. Straight in through the front door again, eh, Corbett? Nice to see you again, anyway.
Good evening, sir.
Do sit down.
Thank
Cigarette?
you. No, thank you, sir, I don't.
I'm trying to give them up. Haven't quite succeeded yet, though. Well, now, I understand there's a major policy matter you wish to discuss regarding the relationship between your group and the ministry.
Well, it's policy as far as we're concerned, sir.
I have to be careful, you know. I can't upset the internal civil service routine. Anyway, it's no use keeping a dog and barking yourself. And I have thousands of dogs in this building, of all breeds. Well, now.
Well, my job, as I see it, sir, is to make this plane to fit the RAF requirements and deliver it on or before the due date. Well, now, it seems increasingly obvious to me that under the present arrangement, that's going to get harder and harder.
Why is that?
Because it's taking so long to get every modification agreed.
And what you're telling me is that we're slowing you down.
Well, all I know is that the design conferences are getting bigger, lasting longer, and achieving less. Last month, there were 55 people present. How on earth can that number of people reach decisions quickly enough on technical matters?
And out of 55, how many were civil servants?
41.
It seems rather large, I agree. But this isn't policy, you know. It's administration. And as I said...
Whatever you call it, sir, it's holding up progress.
It's usual to make representations.
Bill Ryan, my ex-boss, did for 2 years.
And wore himself out in the process.
And the numbers have gone up even more since.
All right, Corbett. I'll see what can be done. You don't mince words, do you?
Have I been too frank, sir?
No, Corbett. I don't mind. But some would have the skin off your back. Now then, what exactly is this trouble you're having with the radar?
Well, that's not good. It's okay? Very good, yes.
Good morning, Hunt. Mr. Grant, what can I get you?
No. Please, let me. Come on, what do you drink?
Bitter, thank you.
I'll have the same. We have 2 halves, please.
2 halves and bitter.
Very much. I read your speech in the House last week. Very impressive, I thought.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. It took me the whole weekend to write it.
Here we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the hell.
Cheers.
Get over here, out of the way.
You sit down. You were telling me on the phone about this radar business.
Oh, yes. Now,
I wouldn't want you to step outside the bounds, but tell me, is it on? Going to the American suppliers, I mean.
well, I admit there are snags. Such as what? Cost. Bound to put the price up.
By how much?
Around £20,000 a set, I should say.
20,000. Your people happy?
Nightingale and the finance people have agreed it. What else could they do in view of Scott Furlong's criticisms? Say nothing of the pressure Corbett's been putting on.
What kind of pressure?
Corbett went to see the minister last night.
Oh, he seems to be making new friends. What puzzles me there is why your people rushed it through like this.
It's quite simple. There was so much humming and hawing over the sword thrust project that in the end there was a big row in the House about it.
I remember that.
So now everybody's scared stiff of doing the same thing again.
Yeah. Hunt, could you tell me, in your opinion, could the Browning-built set be made to work?
I'm absolutely certain it could, given time.
You believe in it, don't you?
I feel very strongly about it. I feel sure that we're quite wrong to abandon it on an impulse.
David? Yes? I've just had a call from John Wilder. He's trying to get you.
Lucky I was out at the office, wasn't it?
Well, it's pretty knocked, I can tell you.
Why, some demoiselle giving him the pushover?
He's worried about this radar business and all the political trouble that's boiling up.
You should be grateful for getting it all sorted out without bothering him.
It's a policy decision, David. You should have kept him in the picture. You've no right to go playing ducks and drakes for the ministry, going over their heads like that.
Policy? Who gave him that rubbish? It's technical.
No? What about this unemployment thing?
You've been listening to Grant.
He told me you went to see the minister last night.
So?
Well, you said the problem was technical.
Look, Don, if you want to report back to Wild that I'm out to make the most of this, you do. No skin off my nose. Check those figures, will you?
Well, anyway, John wants a report right away about the whole situation.
Well, send him one, then.
He wants it from you. I'm no radar expert.
No, neither am I.
Look, all I'm doing is just delivering a message. What you do about it is your pigeon. At least it's between you and John Wilder.
All right, Don, point taken. As soon as I've got time.
Yeah, well, he was rather expecting it tonight.
Well, then he'll be disappointed, won't he? I've just had the first of the American sets flown over. As soon as we get this lot out, we shall be installing it ready for testing in the morning.
Don't make life very easy, do you?
I'm not here to make life easy. I'm here to build airplanes.
Yes, well, there are various ways of doing that.
Don. Off the record, who tipped Wilder off?
Well, he could have heard several ways. Your guess is as good as mine.
You didn't tell him by any chance?
Well, how could I tell him something that I didn't know myself?
Back check these figures, will you, Lucky?
Passing through 1,000 feet now. Altimeter QNH set. Autopilot high control set 250 feet. Radar scanner on. Speed 750 knots. Engine temperatures and pressures. Okay. Coastline coming up now. Okay. Autopilot's within limits. Let's see what happens this time. Heading 030. We're on track. High ground coming up in 45 seconds. Roger. Keep your fingers crossed, okay? Keep your finger near the button. Starting countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's better. Go on, up you go.
Get me Nightingale at the ministry.
Oh, Mr. Grant's just arrived.
Oh, all right, show him in. And, cancel that call. I'll make it later. Well, Forbes has just tested the American set. It works.
Oh, congratulations. The minister doesn't mind the extra cost, I take it?
No, he agrees with me. Compared with the cost of any delay, it's trifling. I saw him personally.
Yes, I heard you'd found your way into the den.
Sponsors are 2 a penny.
Wilder, no?
Well, he usually gets to hear most things, doesn't he, from one source or another? Why?
Why what?
Does it interest you whether he's heard?
Oh, no, I just thought he'd be impressed, that's all. I understand there's been no contract signed with Field Connor.
No, not yet.
Isn't that a bit risky?
Any risk would have been in not going to them at all and sticking to the Browning job.
Yes, but now you're committed and they know it, they could start putting the screws on.
Yes, I suppose that's possible.
So why take the risk?
Look, I'm here to build airplanes. If we're to wait for the lawyers, we'll wait forever.
It might have been safer in the long run to stick to Brownings.
You tell that to Forbes and Dunnett. It wasn't safe for them.
All the same, you're leaving yourself and the company wide open to exploitation.
To say nothing of Manning's lost votes.
And his constituents' jobs.
What is this, a Westminster Mutual Protection Society?
It has its uses.
What about the extracurricular activities?
Huh?
Isn't he also a client of yours?
Oh, well, don't say it as though you've just made some remarkable discovery. Of course he is, and everybody knows it.
You mean to tell me you'd give a damn about this business if it weren't for Manning? A damn about Brownings and the radar contract?
Perhaps I should remind you I also handle public relations for Scott Furlong.
That's when it suits you.
And my objections to the way you're going about this have precious little to do with Manning. In my opinion, what you're doing is ill-advised and damaging to Scott Furlong's image.
Mr. Henderson's here. He says it's urgent.
I'll see him now. You didn't expect me to change my mind, did you?
You may still have to.
Don't go, James.
What? What's all the fuss?
It's Field Connor.
What about them?
They've just been through from Connecticut for John.
Well, if it's about the radar, get on with it.
They can't do it, David.
What do you mean they can't do
Because
it?
Connor himself is an old chum of John's. He says they're signing new defense contracts. We'll just have to take our place in the queue. They can't supply in quantity for 12 months.
Get me Nightingale of the Ministry, quickly. Did you say Connor was an old chum of Wilder's?
Lord Henderson burst in with great news of Washington's bid on the line.
Thank you. And yours, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's right, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Thank you.
And what did Washington say?
Well, they said their own defense needs must come first, which is reasonable, I suppose, from their point of view.
Where does that leave David Corbett?
I don't know, and I don't suppose he does. He's really in it.
Sound pleased. I didn't think you were a Wilder man, except under your agreement.
Nor am I. Oh, Corbett's brilliant at his job as a designer, I mean, and he's honest in his way.
But could be dangerous?
Oh, yes, as far as I'm concerned, they're both dangerous. Corbett and Wilder, Scylla and Charybdis.
Except that they're in the boat with you, so you can't steer clear of them.
It's tricky, I'll admit. No, one's only hope, really, is to have better information than they have.
Ah. Perhaps I can help there.
That's what I hoped you'd say.
Well, do you know how Scott Furlong originally got saddled with this radar?
Well, Corbett agreed it, I'd imagine, with the ministry.
Politics, James. Your friends. A political decision for Brownings to build under license from Field Connors in the States. There's a good deal of backdoor skullduggery, both from their manufacturers and ours. Wilder, as it happened, was in the States to sell sovereigns to an associate company of Field Connors. And they dropped a hint or two.
Which, as it was Wilder, he did.
And Wilder tied up a nice package deal in London with the ministry.
Well, Corbett still doesn't know.
It's rather intriguing, isn't it?
Oh, intriguing. It's a great deal more than that, I'd say.
You've got all the relevant details there, Nightingale.
Yes, I see, Hans. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't go over the whole thing again if we need to.
But I don't see the point in that. At any rate, I think you've got all the complete Scott Furlong correspondence there.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, I think we're all up to date. We've been on to Field Connor again, and they've now agreed to deliver in 10 months, not 12. But that doesn't basically affect the situation.
It's worse than useless.
To be fair to them, they do point out this new defense requirement of theirs came right out of the blue.
Yes.
I am on record with a warning that this situation could arise.
And it's arisen.
Right, Hunt, I think we needn't harp on the obvious.
You didn't think it so obvious the first time it was raised?
The point was we had to push on. We had no option.
All right, what's your option now?
Surely that's what we're here to discuss. Some alternative radar must be found, and quickly.
We went through every possible set at our last meeting.
Then we must consider them again, in more detail.
I don't see the point of that if they're basically unsuitable.
Let's not be too inflexible about this.
You show me another set that will do the job in the VTOL, then I'll be flexible.
In that case, what I suggest is we call a full design conference, bring in the people from Brownings, and thrash it all out at one go.
No. That's right out of the question.
Well, really, if you don't mind.
I'm
Corby.
sick and tired of conferences and committee meetings. They see it as a lifetime's work.
Some delay must be accepted.
I'm sorry, not by me.
Of course, that's the trouble with resorting to expediency. When it fails, you've got nothing left to fall back on.
I don't think that moral philosophy is going to help us either. We're technical men and we have a technical problem to face. Let's get on with it.
With pleasure. Then I suggest that we go back to the Browning-built set, find out what's wrong with it, and put it right.
The Browning set doesn't work, won't work, and as far as I'm concerned, we can't afford the time to make it work.
I don't think it will take as long as you suppose. I've been having discussions with Browning's technical director. Already, there's some evidence that environmental factors are causing the trouble.
Such as what?
Well, there may be no design faults, but it could be vibration, caused by flying at high speeds at low level. Or then again, it could be that the Americans had certain modifications made to their own planes, which Brownings didn't think applied to the VTOL.
How long would it take to arrange tests?
It started already.
Oh, I see.
Why have you been sitting on this?
You seemed obsessed by the idea of crossing the Atlantic.
Well, Corbett?
As far as I can see, we don't have any alternative. I only hope you're right, that's all.
No, I'm sorry, sir. He's at the ministry. Well, it's impossible to say. Yes, I'll tell him. Yes. Goodbye. Oh, there have been a number of calls. I've got the list here. Oh, Mr. Grant's here to see you.
Ah, David.
Well, I seem to be having a busy morning.
Yes, well, the reason I'm here is I think I may be able to help you. I've been researching in one or two
I'm
directions.
sorry. This problem is technical. Strictly technical. You'll just have to accept that.
Be that as it may, I think you'll find...
Get me Lockheed, the radar installation man.
All right. Oh, by the way, did you ever hear the story of how you got saddled with this radar in the first place?
Not that I recollect.
It's rather interesting. I must tell you sometime.
You sent for me, sir.
Yes, Lockheed.
Yes. Yes, well, I just don't know, John. No, Corbett's been at the ministry. I haven't even seen him. Well, at the moment? Well, I'll go through and see if you like. Right, hold on, will you?
Yes, well, if our tests are to mean anything at all, we shall have to strip both sets right down for comparison.
How long is that going to take?
It's got to be done.
Well, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. When can you start?
Right away, if you like.
Good.
Oh, sorry, Troubledy Wilde's on the phone. I should talk to him.
Let me know immediately if you find anything, will you?
Right, you are,
Tell him
Mr.
I'm
Corbett.
I can't do that, David.
Well, tell him I'm tied up then.
Look, wouldn't it be simpler if you'd have picked up the phone? You've got to speak to him sooner or later.
Why the hell doesn't he stick to his problem of selling and leave us to settle our own problems?
Well, you tell him that, not me.
Yes, well, I'm still not talking to him.
Oh, put Mr. Wilder through to this extension, will you, please? Yes, he's on the line from Paris. Oh, hello, John? Yes, look, I understand that Corbett's still at the ministry. What? Yes. Yes, very well. Goodbye, John. I'll be back on Monday. I'd like to see you in his office at 10 o'clock.
And have one yourself, sure?
Oh, thank you very kindly, sir.
Thank you. James,
Sir Henry, hello.
you've heard the news, I suppose. They've had to go back to Browning's.
Yes, I've seen Corbett.
It's really disgraceful business, you know, lad. Disgraceful. Paying silly beggars with contracts. Men's jobs. Not to mention the taxpayers' money. You know, all these people think about, James, is expediency. The easiest road out and hell with the principle. I have a pretty good idea, my lad, that you know what's really been going on.
Well, I know quite a bit.
Thought so. Well, there are a few things you can tell me to start off with. I'd like to know why. Oh, the divisions bell. Never mind, lad. We'll talk about it later on.
Right you are.
Thank you.
Well, that's it. It's all there. All the tests that Brownings have tried.
Well, they proved damn all.
That's about the strength of it.
Well, any other ideas? Not at the moment. In that case, I suggest we get on to Field Connor direct.
Well, what's the point?
Get hold of their top technical people. Have them flown over here and see if they can... Yes? Just a minute. It's for you.
Nightingale here. When was this? I see. Yes. Yes. Well, thank you for letting me know. No, I'm afraid not. Goodbye. Story's out. The minister's under attack in the House. The member for Heaton, Sir Henry Manning.
Manning.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lockett, but you can't possibly see him.
Well, look, this is rather urgent, you know, and he did say...
I'm sorry.
Well, can you tell me when he will be free?
Oh, that'll be some time, I should think.
Well, will you ring me?
Yes, I will.
You're quite positive that he is engaged at the moment?
Right up to here.
I've given you my word. I didn't know. Whether you accept it is your business. Or perhaps you'd tell me this. Did you discuss the matter with Manning? He asked me for certain information, which you gave him. I was in a difficult position. You could say I had two loyalties. And as usual, Scott Furlong came a 4 seconds. Did it? Manning made his attack, didn't he? Unfortunately, yes. Using material you'd given him. Some. And how the hell can you say you didn't know? I tried to persuade him not to make that speech. You realize you've got us in such a mess now, we don't know which way to turn. The press are hounding us right round the clock. Nightingale and his civil servants are so scared they daren't poke their noses out of their offices. The RAF are on the rampage, and personally I'm about the most popular man in the British aircraft industry. Still, why should you worry? That's the position you wanted me in, isn't it? Me, personally.
Oh, dear, dear, dear. Are you feeling a strain or what?
Isn't there a politician's phrase, a balance of power?
I disagreed with you over the dropping of Brownings, I'll admit.
You didn't want me overbalancing Wilder.
Now, don't read more into this than there is, David. I've told you, if there's anything I can do to...
To help? How the hell can you help me? We don't even speak the same language.
Right. That's the way you want it. I can't keep holding out olive branches.
It's not the olive branches I object to. It's what's wrapped up inside them.
Well, I'll leave you to it.
Better drink this.
Thank you.
Do you like any sandwiches?
No, I don't want anything. 4 more days, and Wilder will be back again, cursing and swearing, doing the angry boy act. My God.
The press have been on all day. And Sir Gordon Reveridge and Air Marshal Bilton.
I don't want to speak to anybody.
That's what I told them.
Well, keep on telling them, will you?
Oh, just a moment.
Come in, Lockett. Bring us another cup of coffee, will you, Harriet?
I've been waiting to see you a long time, Mr. Corbett.
Sit down.
Thanks. I've been doing some checking. Could we have the Browning set put back in the aircraft?
Not unless you've got a very good reason.
I think this has been overlooked. It's a modification, a small one to the scanner circuit. It's in the American set, but for some reason it wasn't incorporated by Brownings.
Well, what difference should this make?
I think there's been some overheating, which may have caused the set to drift a bit. That'd explain it.
How sure are you of this?
I'd like to try it in the aircraft.
Get hold of Lockett, of Forbes, immediately. He's not going to love you for this.
Ring 030, on track. High ground coming up in 45 seconds, Roger. Compliments to Mr. Corbett, no red lights flashing. Check, no red lights here, sir. Starting countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Brandon Heath from Victor 2-4. Low-level run successful. Repeat, successful. Over.
Get me Nightingale, Browning, and Grant, in that order. Oh, and then send me up 3 bottles of scotch from the boardroom.
Scotch, Mr. Corbett?
For Forbes and Dunnett. And 1 for Lockett.